Now, regarding our country at stake, you got illegal immigration still going through the roof. And I want to get in these 2 illegal immigrants being apprehended for trying to plot a mass shooting. So you have now, hundreds of thousands of people pouring across the border each and every month. And Texas is being hit so freaking hard. And not just Texas, really. You also have Florida because that's where a lot of them are going. But because Texas is being hit so hard with this immigration issue, it's finally had its counties make official emergency declarations of invasion on the southern border. I did a video clip on TikTok and Instagram. If you're not on those, follow me on there because I do post videos and little snippets of the show. And I commented how Russia had 120,000 troops go into Ukraine, and we were all calling that an invasion. Granted, they did have weapons. Fully get that. But you could still classify it as an invasion based on a specific definition of somebody invading your country. And we're not talking about 120,000 people here. We're talking upwards of like 3 million people just since Joe Biden's been in office. There's 10 to 20 million people, depending on what numbers you want to look at, that are already here illegally. So when you have over 200,000 people pouring across the border every single month, yeah, I would call that an invasion, but the left don't want to admit it. They're not going to admit any of this crap. And that's something I'm kind of getting used to here on the show, is seeing these leftists and Democrats comment on my channel and my videos. There's no changing their mind. Whereas I could sit across from a Democrat or heck, even a leftist. I can understand some sort of the rationale, right? I can make connections of, I get how you got to that. I think it's wrong. I don't think the data supports that. I think there's certain hierarchies in place, whatever it may be. But they'll sit there and manipulate it, and they won't change their view. How I correlate it to is listening to some people on the flat earth theory. If there's any supporters of flat earther on the Bald Brad show, welcome. I'm not a flat earther, but welcome. I get people's differing ideas, but it's one of those things of where you prove them wrong, and it's verifiable proof that it's wrong, and they still don't want to believe it because it will shatter their entire worldview. It's the same thing with the Democrat Party and the leftists. You bring certain information about, and it just shatters their entire worldview. Officials from several border counties in southern Texas announced Tuesday that they were making an emergency invasion declaration to help deal with the Democrat President Joe Biden's catastrophic border crisis. So you have about 4 or 5 counties here that are part of this, and it's only going to grow. And they say the move aligns with some conservative officials and activists who have privately urged Abbott to begin unilaterally enforcing federal immigration laws. This comes from the Houston Chronicle. Expelling migrants from the county would be unprecedented from the state, but justified, they argue, by the Biden administration's push to expand legal pathways for migrants to enter the county, or country for that matter. Kinney County judge said to reporters that the part of the reason for making the declaration was because the nation needs to know that this is real and that the announcement was not a photo op. Kind of like what you see AOC doing, where it's showing up to the border. I'm going to put in air quotes, the border, and taking a photo when it's just an empty parking lot. She's not even really even at the border. If she is, it's just where people park. So, mind you, she's not going down there now, right? You notice that you literally have people just stuffed into these camps. They don't have enough room. She's not going down there. Joe Biden's not going down there. Kamala Harris flew over it, didn't go down there. They don't want to deal with any of this. They just want to make the problem worse. The Biden administration won't do a thing about it. They could stop this thing this hour. They could stop it now. They don't have the guts. They don't want to stop it. They want to make it so bad where now you just the problem gets so bad that you just have to give amnesty to all. That's how bad they want it. Along with not having the resources to deal with the massive influx of illegal aliens pouring into our communities, officials said that the illegal immigration surge was resulted in crime and property damage. Yeah. And not just that, not just crime and property damage, but you also have people pouring across the border that aren't necessarily going to assimilate with your values, with your creed, and don't always want a better life for themselves. And when you say things like that, Democrats lose their you-know-what. They lose their minds. How could you talk about immigrants like that? You're anti-immigration. I'm literally the son of an immigrant who came here legally, who did their things the correct way. But you can't talk about those things because you're automatically a sexist, homo, the freaking list of whatever the hell they want to call you. So you have this invasion taking place, and all these people, according to Democrats, are good people. They don't care if the drug cartel come across. They want open borders. When you ask them, hey, do you want open borders? Yes. Well, what about the drug cartel? Oh, well, I don't know. Should we just let them pour across with no issues? Well, I'm not sure. I didn't think that far. So you craft this entire narrative in your head, but yet you haven't thought that far in terms of the consequences of your actions for voting in certain policies or allowing a president to not execute the laws that would protect you and your family against certain people. And when I say protect you and your family, I mean that very seriously. There are illegal aliens. Doesn't have to be Mexican. It could be freaking wherever, that have killed people, that have done terrible crimes against people and their families. Just today, it is news that 2 illegal aliens were arrested in alleged mass shooting plot on 4th of July celebration, had guns with them. Law enforcement officials in Virginia arrested 2 illegal aliens who were allegedly plotting a mass shooting on July 4th celebration after a hero citizen overheard a conversation about the plot and immediately called the police. How'd they get guns? Red flag laws? What about all these laws in the books? How the hell did they get guns if they weren't even citizens here? There's background checks. God, they must have went to one of those places that Democrats talk about where they don't do background checks and they just sell you guns and you just hand it over to them. They must have done something like that. Of course, I'm joking and being facetious. It's just the amount of ignorance that's spewed by the Democrats and guns is just mind-blowing. 2 illegal immigrants, one age 52 and the other 38, were arrested and charged with being a non-U.S. citizen in possession of a gun after police uncovered a plot that the duo planned a mass shooting at Richmond's July 4th celebration on Monday. The police said that the reports that one of the suspects had been deported several times and continued to re-enter the country illegally. I mean, I can't tell you how many times this actually happened where somebody's come actually into the country, committed a crime, was deported, came back into the country, committed another crime, was deported, came back a third time and actually murdered somebody. There are cases out there that this happened, like legal cases. Democrats don't care. They don't care. And Joe Biden is going to tell you all to your face that he cares. He doesn't give a crap. What if these people massacred like 40 or 50 people, little kids, families, all those things? Get rid of the guns. Get rid of the guns. Nothing happens to the legal. Well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They'll say, oh, you know what? They deserve to be in jail. They get the gas chamber, whatever. Leave the borders open. Leave the borders open. Just a few bad people. But get rid of the guns and make sure these people are prosecuted, whatever. That's their thinking on this. It is so baffling. It is so baffling. You try to spend your day making sense of it all so you can actually have a productive conversation on how to fix things. But when you have somebody that's dealing with pure emotion, pure illogical stances, it's impossible. But again, I always say this on the show because I think it's so important. Everything that I say about the Democrat Party, everything that I say about the progressive left and Democrat Party say about Republicans and conservatives. That's the problem with everything. But it's so odd because Republicans and conservatives grow up in a milieu, in an environment, in an education system where they're indoctrinated with leftist and progressive and Democrat ideas. So we understand what their ideas are. The problem is they don't understand what our ideas are, what we actually believe in and what we feel. They're so baffled when you have certain conversations about politics with them. Oh, I had no idea you guys actually believe that. I didn't think that there'd actually be any common ground. And you're sitting across the aisle going, yeah, there's common ground. We already knew your stance, which is why we're talking about all these things. We already know how you feel about something. We're asking for the consequences now. Have you thought that far into what could happen? They haven't. So that's why you can't even have a conversation about this stuff. So they're coming in illegally multiple times. And the police chief is saying that it was frustrating that a person could continue to break the law and have an opportunity to plan out a mass murder. They're all good people though, man. Whoa, police chief. Hey, come on, man. What do you mean? They're all good people. Everybody, all 3 million of these people that are pouring through, not a single one of them is a bad person. They would never commit a mass murder. They would never commit a murder within themselves. They would never break the law, even though you have a dramatic spike since 2021. I mean, you're talking a vertical spike on the graph of illegal immigrants committing crimes. You were looking at like 3 crimes the prior year. And now it's like upwards of like 45 and then like 61 or something like that. And it's just only increasing. Why? Because the more people you have pouring across the border gives more of a likelihood of bad people coming across the border, which increases more of a likelihood of more people committing crime. I know, revolutionary, right, folks? Just basic 6th grade graphs, statistics, but they don't get it. They can't wrap their head around it. A hero citizen picked up the phone and overheard a controversial, there was a mass shooting being planned here in the city of Richmond. This is all it takes. Quick phone calls and look, probably saved a ton of people's lives. He is a hero. He is a hero. You hear something, say something. Law enforcement officials seized 2 rifles and hundreds of rounds of ammunition from a home in Richmond after police received a tip from the citizen. We know that their intent was, but we don't have a motive. The incident comes just right after you had that person from the July 4th celebration in Highland Park massacring and killing a bunch of people. It's just crazy though. How did they get the guns? You want to remove citizens' right to have weapons, right? Like the AR-15 or certain assault weapons, whatever the hell that means. I know, folks, I'm right there with you. What does assault weapon mean? They still haven't told us. We've been going over this for 10 years now, a decade of assault weapons. Who knows? They want to remove them. They want to ban them. They're open about it now that they want to ban them, which, mind you, it says that you can't infringe on the Second Amendment rights, but they'll manipulate that in some way, very similar to what you just saw Karine Jean-Pierre do with Peter Doocy. Manipulate anything and everything, the wording, the language, which they're doing in the school system, which you're doing with the LGBTQ plus trans community, which you're doing within everything, biology, because if you gain control of the language, you gain control of the culture. If you gain control of the culture, you gain control of the politics, and then everything goes down the drain. And as long as you have Democrats in office, like we see with Joe Biden, it will go down the drain, folks. So there you have it. Country's being destroyed by Joe Biden. We have another 2.5 years of this shenanigans before hopefully things turn around. We'll see in the midterms. We'll actually see in November if Democrats are really leaning. They're not just answering these polls hocus pocus, just lying to these pollsters. We'll see if the red wave is really coming. I hope it does. I hope people wake up to all this stuff. I hope Democrats wake up to their ignorance and their idiocracy that they're pushing upon the American public and stop driving this freaking country into the ground and actually allow us to be prosperous. But that goes against their ideology. It's not going to happen. And again, it's baffling that you have these Democrats. Just look in the comment section. For the love of God, just please look at the shorts that I post. Look in the comment section and just read them. I don't even care if you watch the video or not. Just read the comments from these progressive lefts. It is mind-blowing. Oh, he's better than Trump. How? How is he possibly better than Trump? And you wrap your head around it. We weren't dealing with any of this when Trump was in office. There was no war. Nobody invaded anybody. You'll have these guys come out, oh, well, there's bombs being dropped in this place. You had people in Afghanistan, and you had some people in the Middle East. Like, what do you mean we weren't doing anything? Like, they can't sit there and understand actually what you're talking about. They have to sit there and like, well, there's this little tiny segment that we did invade. We did put Navy SEALs in there. So in effect, we did invade them. It's like they can't wrap their head around what you're talking about in the same way that they can't wrap their head around that Joe Biden sucks and he's driving this country in the ground and that Trump was better. Maybe not better in terms of what he said, but hell, his actions were drastically better. You just have a reversal. You have Joe Biden that says stuff, which is idiotic at times, fights with his teleprompter, but he doesn't say things on the level that Trump said things, but his actions suck. You have Trump that said a lot of damn things, never fought with his teleprompter, went off teleprompter at times, spoke coherently, said some stupid things, but his actions were great. Economy was thriving. Everybody's thriving. You had low prices at the grocery store. You had low prices at the gas station. Your 401k retirement was up. Your investments were up. Everything was looking bright. You get a Democrat in office, everything goes to crap. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.